My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic is one of my favorite shows ever made. The characters, stories, setting, animation, music, and just about everything else is spot on. I didn't think I would enjoy the series, I basically just watched it as a joke with a friend, but it blew me away and made me realize just how important it is to give something a chance. I bring this up because of what I'll be talking about this time. Equestria Girls, the first movie in the MLP universe. I recall enjoying Equestria Girls the first few times I saw it, since I really wanted it to be good. Every time I've seen the movie since then, though, I've enjoyed it less and less, since I would always notice something new that bothered me. Now, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's not to say that there are no good things in the movie, but it is to say that there's not nearly enough good to save this movie. Something I want to mention before moving on is the whole toy advertisement part of the movie. It's no secret that Hasbro advertises the crap out of MLP stuff in the show, and Equestria Girls is no different. Though, I have to admit, I've never been too bothered by the advertising aspect of MLP. I don't know, people gotta make money off the show somehow. It doesn't really affect me, so most of the time I look past it. I don't hate Equestria Girls for advertising dolls because that's what the show does. Still, there are some things that I can't ignore, and it all has to do with the toys' designs. I think that the designs of the toys worked against some character designs in Equestria Girls. You see, in Friendship is Magic, almost every character has the same body type, but they're easily differentiated because of how they style their manes. You don't even need to see their colors to tell different characters apart most of the time. Their designs also clue you into their personalities. You just know that Pinkie is the chaotic good of the group just by looking at her, with her crazy hair and constant smile. And you know Rarity is the fashionista of the group because of her styled mane and the fact that she's the only one who wears makeup. In Equestria Girls, they're designed to look just like the toys. And while some of the character designs still work, some of them really fall apart when you stop and think about it. For example, Rainbow Dash, the athletic one, wears a skirt. Why? Wouldn't it be a lot more comfortable to play soccer alone in athletic shorts? Big Mac also looks a lot less buff than he should. In Friendship is Magic, Big Mac is actually big. His build is just a lot larger than all the other male ponies in the show. But in Equestria Girls, he's barely bigger than any of the other guys. These could be seen as minor critiques, but I'd argue that they aren't. The best character designs are able to convey the personality of that character just by looking at them. Friendship is Magic was able to accomplish this with hairstyles and cutie marks. By following the toy designs in Equestria Girls, a lot of the character designs are lesser and don't feel right. It just seems lazy, and once I thought about how the main six would actually look as humans, it annoyed me to no end. The human world as a whole is just a lot less interesting than Equestria. Going off season 1 of Friendship is Magic, Equestria has unicorns, pegasi, alicorns, griffins, manticores, cockatrices, and hydras. Not to mention the fact that magic naturally exists in Equestria. The human world has none of those. I mean, magic does spring up last minute, but aside from that, there's nothing else. That being said, this world could have been more interesting if we actually left the school and went into the city. But aside from a couple scenes, that doesn't happen. It's a complete missed opportunity, and the world feels so much smaller for the lack of variety in its locations. However, the setting, the character designs, and the advertising aren't the worst part about Equestria Girls. The plot is. Now that I've talked about everything around the story, let's talk about the story itself. The movie begins at the Crystal Empire, and we find that Twilight has been summoned to a princess summit, since she's the princess of friendship now. She even has the wings to prove it. The rest of the main six came along because they did. Alright. They all meet up with the other princesses, only to be shoved off to bed immediately. Gee, I wonder if this horse will be important later. He just blends in so well with the others, I can't tell. That night, Twilight's element of harmony is stolen, and the assailant escapes through a mirror, so they meet the next day to discuss a plan. Celestia knows who took the element. A former student of hers, named Sunset Shimmer. Also, it turns out there's this mirror thing that's actually a portal to another dimension that opens once every 30 moons for 2 nights or something. Twilight volunteers to go in, but has to go in alone because apparently it would disrupt the balance, or whatever.
Sending all of you could upset the balance of this alternate world, creating havoc that would make it impossible for Twilight to get the crown back from Sunset Shimmer. This is something Princess Twilight must do alone.
Now, this scene raises a few questions. Firstly, how would all the main six going with Twilight disrupt the balance? We find out later that it's because there'd be twins of the main six walking around school. But that just raises more questions. Where's human Twilight? Pinkie mentions something about her when she meets Twilight for the first time.
Do you have a twin sister who lives in the city, has a pet dog named Spike that looks just like that one? Maybe?
Does she go to another school? Oh, right, she does go to another school. But we only find that out in the third movie. I initially thought the rest of the main 6 couldn't go because Twilight didn't exist in the other dimension, but that's not the case. Which leads into my second point. How much does Celestia know about the human world? She knows that the main 6 go to school together and Twilight isn't one of them. The only way she would know that is if she went to the other world and saw the main 6 together without Twilight. Since she's clearly been there before, would it not be helpful for at least Celestia to go along too? Maybe they could find a place to hide Celestia during the day, or give her a disguise, or give the main 6 a disguise so that they could go in too. What are you hiding, man? You want Twilight to succeed, right? What frustrates me the most is the fact that this scene could have been done much better. The rest of the main 6 have no real reason to be at the Princess Summit, right? How about they're not there at all, so when Twilight is getting ready to enter the portal and asks if she can bring her friends, Luna or Celestia would remind her that the portal doesn't stay open forever. The short portal lifespan creates a sense of urgency, so Twilight can't just wait on her friends to show up. It's not perfect, but it's better than what we have in the movie. Because Twilight and the rest of the main 6 don't feel like asking any questions, Twilight goes in, with Spike trailing in afterward. And then, it happens. Twilight becomes a human. Thankfully, the portal was generous enough to give her a clean pair of clothes. Not generous enough to give Twilight her magic, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? Twilight and Spike go into the school that's right in front of them and find out that in order to get the crown back, she's gotta become prom queen. I mean, win the fall formal contest. Twilight also runs to Sunset Shimmer, who doesn't recognize Twilight in her human form and moves on. She also meets human Fluttershy for the first time, in a scene that kinda mimics the first time Twilight met Fluttershy in the show. Also Brad. I mean, I know his name is Flash Sentry, but come on, look at him. There is also a song thrown in there, but I don't feel like talking about it too much because of how boring it is. It's just your typical, oh dear, where am I song that you'd expect just by hearing what type of song it is. The fact that I don't really like the song is a bit weird to me though. Friendship is Magic has great music, and I mean really great music. Winter Wrap Up, Art of the Dress, Hearts as Strong as Horses, Becoming Popular, At the Gala. These are songs that I listen to outside of the show because of how much I enjoy them on their own. Now, I'm not much of a music critic. I mean, most of the music I listen to is just video game soundtracks. But I will say that each of those songs are able to convey how the characters feel or what's happening in the story, while still being good songs to listen to on their own. They've got catchy instrumentals and good hooks, making them easy to hum along. How does Equestria Girls fare? Not that great. Most of these tracks are pretty weak, and their lyrics aren't that much better either. They're all so generic that there's only one song that I actually remember from this movie, and that song is just okay. It feels like they were going for music that would be 100% okay with everyone, but good to no one, and as a result, nothing sticks. There's just noise. Twilight asks Fluttershy about where her crown might be, and I die a little on the inside.
But I didn't want anything to happen to it, so I decided to give it to Principal Celestia.
Principal Celestia. Man, what a downgrade from her equestrian half. Twilight goes to meet with Principal Celestia, and the whole win prom plot is further reinforced. It's really annoying to me how they keep hammering this plot point in, just like they keep hammering in the fact that Twilight was once a horse. Whatever, who cares? Gym time. And hey, Pinkie Pie is here. And she can still break the fourth wall.
Don't let the whole shy thing fool you. She can be a real meanie.
And she's also a complete jerk too. Why does Pinkie hate Fluttershy?
You two aren't friends? Waited a bit to get your name on the ballot, huh?
Oh, okay, cool. Just dodged the question. Okay. Applejack and Big Mac arrive on the scene carrying non-alcoholic cider because high school. And wowie zowie, Applejack hates Rainbow Dash. Thankfully, we actually get a reason for them hating each other this time, though it's a flimsy one at best. Rainbow Dash forgot to attend an event that Applejack was hosting, and now they hate each other. Really? That's it? You know, the human counterparts of the main 6 so far are pretty terrible. Come to think of it, where's Sunset's human counterpart? Each of the main 6 have a human counterpart, and the princesses too, but Sunset doesn't. What happened to her? Well, never mind that. Sunset's onto Twilight. Also, this hallway leads nowhere. Nice. The next day comes around and everybody's already talking about Twilight behind her back. She's new here, right? Why does everyone care so much about the new girl? Thankfully, Rarity comes to the rescue, disguising Twilight and hiding her in a room. Fluttershy, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie show up because... It turns out that overnight, Sunset Shimmer posted a YouTube video that's supposed to be insulting her. Consequently, I think this video is hilarious. It's so over-the-top serious, and the close-ups always have spit going everywhere. I think we're supposed to see how conniving and devious Sunset is, but it comes off as she's trying to sound conniving and devious, but doesn't. Twilight's distraught from this video. Realizing that her hopes of winning prom might be lost, the others start arguing. Nice. The worst part of any TV show or movie is when all the characters start arguing with each other, all at the same time. Twilight does eventually shut them up, thank God, and she pulls out an old yearbook that has the picture of them as a group. Apparently, it was also before all of them decided to get plastic surgery because they look terrible. Seriously, what's wrong with their faces? Anyway, they start talking it out and realize that Sunset has been messing with them behind the scenes. Okay, wait. They were all being deceived by Sunset this whole time, and then they disproved each other's claims by just talking to each other for about 5 minutes. Did they really not talk to one another this whole time? I can only assume that Sunset did her thing, and then they ran up to one another and said screw you without context and walked off. Given how little effort Twilight had to put in to fix everything, that might as well have been what have happened. Also, that's a lot of effort to separate a group of friends. Maybe Sunset recognized them as the main 6 counterparts in the human world and wanted to weaken their friendships so that the elements of harmony wouldn't work. But isn't there no magic in the human world? Are there even elements of harmony? It's hard to tell given what Sunset says about this.
Pop quiz. What happens when you bring an element of harmony into an alternate world? You don't know? Seriously? And you're supposed to be Princess Celestia's star student?
And for that matter, does Sunset mess with everyone to keep people in their cliques? If so, how much time does it take to make sure that everyone's always at each other's throats, except when you need them to band together against the new girl? Am I overthinking this? I'm probably overthinking. Well, whatever. They all get back together, complete with Twilight being terrible at soccer. Yeah! Sometime later, they go to the cake's place to get a snack.
Whoa, we've got to stop bumping into each other like this.
I agree. You shouldn't. Now let's move on from...
I'm not trying to. I don't even know. We just accidentally... Ex-boyfriend?
Really? Does Twilight have to fall for the nice guy jock character who just so happens to have dated Sunset Shimmer in the past? The only other time they talked was when she bumped into him earlier. There's no development with this relationship. In fact, they only have one more scene together before prom, so it makes Twilight come off as pretty superficial since all she has to go on are his looks and the fact that he bumps into her a lot. That's not a relationship, that's just people not paying attention. With the main 6 back together once again, they start coming up with a plan to win over everyone, but oh no, the dance is tomorrow. Rarity comes up with the idea to bring people together with a furry flash mob? What? This is what people wear for school spirit? You know, I'm not a high schooler anymore, but I doubt high school me would wear those things at all. The next day, they act on the flash mob, and the One Good song plays in this movie. It's pretty catchy and has a cheesy school spirit vibe. It's pretty nice. Though, again, I'd still put most of Friendship is Magic's songs above this one. And with that, Twilight wins. The school is on her side, the prom is just hours away, and nothing could possibly... Oh, come on! What's this all about? Luna thinks that Twilight trashed the gym? Thank God Brad comes in to save the day. This plot point comes up and goes away at almost the speed that I explained it. If it's this much of a throwaway, then why have this scene at all? And no, this isn't a good enough reason for Twilight to start liking Brad enough to go to prom with him. After cleaning up the gym and Pinkie Pie's worst scene ever, we get a song about his throwaway as the Twilight framing subplot. Finally, prom is ready to happen. And you know what that means? Another throwaway song, this time about being girls and dresses. I hate everything. But hey, we finally made it to prom. After celebrating her victory and spending some time to enjoy herself, Twilight retrieves the crown and walks back through the portal to Equestria. The day is saved, not through the elements of harmony, but by Twilight's ability to bring people together and demonstrate strong leadership. I wish that happened. No, instead we get Spike being kidnapped, followed by Sunset gaining the crown and transforming into a demon, and then transforming the rest of the school, except the main six of course, into mindless zombies bound to her will. Yes, really. They had this ending all wrapped up and ready to go, but instead it just devolves into zombies. I remember that the first time I saw this, I actually laughed out loud because of how ridiculous it all is. Now, I just kinda sigh and realize what I'm doing with my life.
And with my own little teenage army behind me, I'm going to get it!
What am I doing with my life? With the power of friendship and fairies, the main six blast away Demon Sunset, leaving only regular Sunset, somehow. And everyone's back to normal too. Sunset begs for forgiveness, Twilight forgives her, and Celestia tries to teach us a lesson, but we all know the real lesson here. Apparently, we're all lesser beings for not being fairies. But with the day saved, prom can resume, and afterwards Twilight bids farewell as she goes back through the portal, back to Equestria. The elements of harmony are back together, peace is restored, and the movie ends on Twilight bumping into Horsebrad, come on! Now, there is one thing that I did like about Equestria Girls that I didn't bring much attention to throughout this review. Spike. Throughout the movie, Spike was the #1 assistant we've all wanted him to be in Friendship is Magic. He's encouraging, he helps Twilight settle in and organize her thoughts, and he's not completely inept or childish all the time. It's weird how my favorite portrayal of Spike is in one of my least favorite things to come out of this franchise. Because man oh man, I do not like this movie. Unreasonable character actions, a premise that raises more questions than it should, a love interest that is terrible, and myriad other reasons make this movie a chore to sit through. What's most depressing for me is the fact that most of the bad parts of the movie could have been fixed or removed. Instead of wasting screen time on she-demons and side plots that start and end in a heartbeat, use that time to flesh out Brad and Sunset as characters so that we actually care about them after the movie's over. Maybe even cut a song or two so only the really good stuff remains. Really though, this movie is more disappointing than it is bad, at least to me. I had actual hopes for this movie when it first came out, and having them so thoroughly dashed is rough. I can still go back to the first 3 seasons of Friendship is Magic and get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but I just can't do that with Equestria Girls. Maybe next time will be better. Maybe next time. If you actually made it all the way through this video, thanks for watching. I want to give special thanks to my friend Steven Jensen for helping me edit the script as well as letting me borrow his mic. Go check out his channel, it's pretty great. I've made a few other videos where I talk about the good episodes of The Horse Show, so go check out the playlist I've made. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, goodbye.